It's Friday. That means it's Facebook Friday Q&A time here on OTRS Central. I'm breaking it up again into 2 parts because of the number of questions I received. I might not get to every single one of your questions, and that's in part just because of the way it's listed. I'm trying to do the 2 parts of 15 minutes or less. I will get through as many questions as I possibly can. Don't take it personally if yours doesn't get answered. Let's get started. Matt Methane. How big of an IWC circle jerk would there be if Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins had a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania 31? Oh, could you imagine? Especially if CM Punk did a run-in followed by AJ Styles making his long-awaited debut in WWE. It would be pandemonium indeed. What would happen is thousands of hardcore wrestling fans would stop playing whack-a-mole, emerge from their mother's basements, make a quick pit stop at the glory hole in order to get some nourishment, refreshment, and stress relief. Then they would head on down where they would board at the masturbation station, the ROH Express, head to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, and commence with a Guinness Book of World Record longest and largest virgin circle jerk in the history of mankind. That's what would happen. And I imagine the conductor aboard all of that would be Marcus Smart. I just have that feeling. Brandon Harden wants to know, favorite WrestleMania entrance stage? I always liked WrestleMania 3 just because I loved how they had to come down in the ring carts. I thought that was pretty cool. But in terms of actual like stage, I don't know. Some of the recent ones have been really, really good. I thought Atlanta's was really good. I thought New York's was really good. I don't know if I particularly have a favorite per se. WrestleMania 24 one was really good, and so was 28 as well. Let's see here. Alberto Torres. Who would botch more during their Hall of Fame induction speeches? Scott Steiner or Psycho Sid? If by botch you mean epic and awesome, it's hard to determine. What if they inducted each other? Oh, fuck. Magnificence. Jose Gonzalez, if WWE booked Cena to beat Rusev for the U.S. title, would you let him bring back the Spinner Championship? No. Because I wouldn't have John Cena beat Rusev. Don't be wrong. You don't do that. They probably will do that, but they should not do that. Let somebody else be the one to beat Rusev. It would be helpful on so many different levels. Jeremy Adams, did Booker T get into any trouble for saying the N-word on live television? Oh, I'm sure he probably did. I've never really heard him say whether he got into a whole bunch of trouble about it or not, or if he was in a position where people didn't really care in WCW. That's possibly that. And then what's your view on the use of that word? It's very simple. I think the use of the word is ridiculous. I think it's something that needs to stop. This was a word that means behavior, not a race, yet for so many years was used as a form of racism in order to subjugate an entire group of people. And now, in today's society, we have people profiteering off of that and trying to say that the use of that word is okay because it's showing that it doesn't get them down. No, it just shows that you're an idiot and a knucklehead. That word should be stricken from the language. That word should no longer be uttered in any way, shape, or form. Nothing aggravates me more when I see somebody using it as a form of endearment towards another. No, that's stupid. You just don't do that. Stop using that fucking word. It's abhorrent because of represents. It's an atrocity based off of what it was used to do for so many generations that now we have people think that it's okay. It becomes cool in its own way. It's a way to make money. That makes me fucking sick. Keem the Base God Johnson. Who do you think are the Fantastic Four of the future for WWE, like Orton, Cena, Batista, and Edge were in 2004, 2005? Thanks for using my term, by the way. I appreciate that. Lets me know it got over a little bit. At this point in time, I would have to say Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins would be that fortunate four, that Fantastic Four, if you will. Those would be the 4 that it looks like to me right now. And I'll probably do a video about that in the next week or two, talking about who is that next fortunate 4 and why and what roles they'll fill and how high they'll progress in the future. Brandon L. Reed, should Ravishing Rick Rude be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year if he's not in already? He's not in already, I assure you of that, and yes, he should be. Sooner rather than later, I'd like to see that. And then he also asked if Seattle should win the Super Bowl, do they still get rid of Marshawn Lynch? It's possible. I think it's very hard to. I mean, because he's so much of what the Seahawks do. He is their best player. He is their identity in a lot of ways. However, after this season, they're going to have to re-sign Russell Wilson to a big long-term deal. You know, how restrictive is Marshawn Lynch's contract towards the salary cap? Have they worn tired of his act after 5 seasons? But man, if you sit there and you win a second straight Super Bowl, it would almost seem insane to not want to put the whole game together as much as you possibly could to go after history and win 3 straight Super Bowls. You've got to, I think, at least consider that. David Dye, are you here just so you don't get fined? Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Fucking Marshawn Lynch is awesome. Danny Palmer, if social media had existed in the 80s, which wrestlers and or angles would have been bashed by the IWC? Hogan Andre, because it was 2 big guys. Hogan Macho Man, because the storyline would have taken too long. Hogan Warrior, because again it was 2 muscle guys. What else would have been bashed? Piper would have been bashed for never putting anybody over. Jake the Snake would have been everybody's hero in some ways. Mr. Perfect would have been talked about as the greatest thing since sliced bread. A lot of that type of stuff would have happened. Moises Enrique, is Roman now part of the Breakfast Club? Whoa. Pump them brakes, kids. He hasn't even won the title yet. How many pay-per-views has he actually main evented? You don't just simply get put into the Breakfast Club. This is a process. It takes years. You have to earn that right. Reigns isn't there yet. Let's not get carried away. All right. Jason Green. My best friend Mark Barnes is obsessed with wrestling. How do I get him to stop watching and spend some quality time with his buddy or go out and find himself a nice woman that hates wrestling? Well, if he's your best friend, Mr. Green, then why are you bitching and moaning about his love of professional wrestling? You would have known that from Jump Street, right? That would have been part of who he was. What the fuck type of friend are you if you're trying to get him to stop being who he is and change who he is? Some best friend you are. As far as him going out and finding a nice woman that hates wrestling, why does he have to do that? Why can't he find somebody that is accepting of it? Why can't he find somebody that likes professional wrestling? Why would he have to find somebody that hates professional wrestling? Because he would have one love trying to keep him from another love, and then, therefore, neither one of his loves are really appealing to him, and it just makes him completely unhappy. If you're any type of real friend, I mean, maybe you want to get him some pussy, I understand that, but the whole thing about having to find a woman that hates wrestling is ridiculous, and trying to change him is fucking ridiculous as well. I'll tell anybody who asks me. You know, even Ashley. She was a wrestling fan, too, so that most certainly helped. I would have made her different than previous ladies for sure, but with that said, you have set that expectation from Jump Street. This is who you are. This is what I'm about. You either accept that or you don't. You could change certain aspects of you and improve on some character flaws, yes, and I'm still always working to try and do that. However, with that said, I'm never going to stop watching wrestling because of a woman. I'm never going to stop watching sports because of a woman. I'm never going to stop being politically engaged because of a woman. Because if I had to do any of those things in order to appease or please a woman, then what type of woman is that really, frankly? CT General, do you still have a WWE Network subscription? If so, why? Yes, I do, and the reason is very simple. Because I don't want to stream the pay-per-views. And I also had it, too, because it made it easier for me to go back and watch the old, like, SummerSlams and Survivor Series and WrestleManias for the review series. That was part of it. I mean, I really don't watch the network much. I have it for the pay-per-views in part because of this channel, because of this show. I mean, it is $9.99, let's be honest here. So it's not like it's a huge expense. And based off of what I do and what I use it for, I can justify that expense. So that's why. Good question, though. Derek Archer, do you think the WWE is positioning the Shield and Wyatt as the new Fortunate Four for their future? Another question about this. I think they are. I think that's clear for everybody to see at this point in time, and I'm okay with that. Let's see here. Luis Mancha, what is your favorite way to celebrate? Dick down Ashley's puss. I don't know if I really have a favorite way to celebrate. You kind of stumped me with that one, actually. Benedict Infinity Ward. Well, would Roman Reigns make a good member to the Breakfast Club? Again, at some point in time, perhaps. But you just don't get into the Breakfast Club. I mean, there's a whole process. They've got bylaws and bylaws and bylaws of bylaws in order to get into that organization. And frankly, as kind of like the unofficial official spokesman for the Breakfast Club in many capacities, an individual doesn't get into the Breakfast Club until I fucking say so. And until you hear me utter those words that Roman Reigns is a member of the Breakfast Club, then you need to accept it as if it is the gospel. That is for you, Benedict Infinity Ward, and the rest of you out there watching this and hating this video. Until I say that Roman Reigns is in the Breakfast Club, he's not in the Breakfast Club. Good, good, got it. Great, let's move on. Steven Jacobson, did the WWE miss a good match with Batista versus Brock Lesnar? Yes. Yes, I think they did. I really think they did. Larkin Harris, in terms of just pure wrestling ability, who is the best wrestler in the world today? Pure wrestling ability? I don't know. Again, that's very subjective. I mean, how do you separate from all the people that do the flips and kicks or the technical crap? You guys can debate that down below. I really don't have an answer for who is the best wrestler just based off of pure wrestling ability, because how do you define wrestling ability? You know, I'm just saying. Nathan Weaver, who makes the IWC come quicker, Ziggler, Bryan, or Punk? Ziggler is clearly bringing up the rear, so to speak, at number 3. Number 2 would be Daniel Bryan, but a very close number 2 to CM Punk's number 1. But eventually it may become Bryan number 1. He might rule the roost amongst the IWC or the hardcore fans, as I might better refer to them as. Alfredo Regalado, is Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt a good idea for the main event of WrestleMania 32? I think so. I really do. That's one possibility. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. We got it still another year plus. Let's get to WrestleMania 31 first. However, is that something that I have in my mind as a potential WrestleMania 32 match? Yes, I do. Especially for a main event for the title. Ryan Monroe, does Goldust deserve to go into the Hall of Fame in 2016 or 17? Sure. I don't see what the rush is, but yeah, why not? Sierra Crichton, if Bubba Ray is signed with WWE, should WWE give him a push to get a shot at the world title for SummerSlam? No. No. Not at all. Should he work with somebody like a Luke Harper? Yes. Should he work with somebody like a Bray Wyatt? Yes. Are there people that he could work with that he could help? Yes. Pushing him to entitled picture. What the fuck are we, TNA? Let's see here. Sun Goshuaku. Do you think that showing training vignettes of Roman Reigns preparing for the fight of his life with Brock could add a lot to the build-up for WrestleMania 31? Examples, HBK Brett at 12, Brock at SummerSlam 2002. You're goddamn right. That's exactly what the fuck I would do. So I need to build up Reigns as a monster, too, to face this monster. I want to emphasize Brock as a monster, and I want to emphasize that Reigns is a monster-type dude, too. That's a badass that doesn't take any shit off of anybody. Hell, have him do some training shit with The Rock. That's all pre-record shit that doesn't cost a lot to do. That you could get a tremendous bang for your buck out of it. So that's exactly what the hell I would do, frankly. I would make that a cornerstone of what I'm trying to do heading into WrestleMania 31. All right, so thanks for your questions here for part 1 of this Q&A. Part 2 will be coming up as soon as I get it uploaded.